In the prison, several new prisoners arrive, and as per tradition, the prison bully comes to ask for protection money. However, an old man refuses, declaring he needs no protection.
I don't think I need protection from you.
Which infuriates the bully. The other inmates, frightened, move away, but the bully meets his match. When he tries to extort another man, he is severely taught a lesson.
My name is
This man, named Jack, is a former Special Forces soldier who has turned into a narcotics officer after retiring from the military. He seizes a large amount of contraband, causing significant losses to Balam, the biggest drug lord in the area. Balam has hitmen target Jack's home. Tragically, Jack's wife is killed in the attack, but Jack survives. To avenge for his wife, Jack scours everywhere for Balam, but Balam is cautious. No one knows his whereabouts. Finally, Jack gets information that evidence incriminating Balam, along with corrupt government officials and police involved in various crimes, is hidden in a bank's safe. To retrieve this evidence, Jack and a few comrades disguise themselves as robbers and raid the bank. After a fierce gunfight, they crack open the vault and successfully get the evidence. As they attempt to escape, they are intercepted by other police. During the ensuing standoff, one of Jack's partners is shot and dies on the spot. However, Jack manages to escape and seeks refuge in a large building. There, he is confronted by a policeman who recognizes his voice. Jack removes his hood, revealing his identity, and in a desperate act, grabs the officer, who was one of his wife's killers, and jumps from the building, resulting in the officer's instant death. Jack is subsequently arrested for bank robbery and the killing of a police officer. However, what Jack doesn't know is that his old enemy, Balam, is also imprisoned in this prison. Balam is a notorious drug lord, and despite being incarcerated, he continues to engage in all illegal trades, such as drug trafficking, human smuggling, and weapons transportation. In fact, Balam stays in this prison because he believes it is the safest place where his enemies cannot reach him, allowing him to conduct all illegal transactions without getting caught. Balam has access to 5-star level facilities inside the prison with his personal guards and assistants. In the next scene, several new prisoners, including Jack, are brought in and informed that they will be housed in the same building as Balam. As each of them is checked and sent to their respective cells, Officer Green stops Jack on the way and assaults him. He hits Jack in the stomach with a baton and reprimands him for killing a fellow police officer. Before leaving, Green warns Jack that he will have a hard time in prison and won't live long.
How long you think you're gonna last in this?
Jack finds himself incarcerated with a prisoner named Silva. After lunch, the prison bully, Balam's cousin Semyon, demands protection money and gets beaten up by Jack. To everyone's surprise, Jack easily defeats Semyon and his men. Later, Jack is taken to a secret prison where Balam contacts him via security camera. Balam warns Jack not to interfere with his business, or he will meet the same fate as his late wife. However, Balam's threats do not affect Jack, who listens without concern. What Balam doesn't know is that before entering prison, Jack had his friend place evidence of Balam's crimes at the apartment of an honest journalist, Trisha. In a letter, Jack urges Trisha to report the case to the district attorney's office. Later that night, 3 of Balam's henchmen try to attack Jack in his cell. To their surprise, Jack quickly wakes up and subdues them without disturbing his cellmate Silva. On the other hand, Trisha works hard to investigate the evidence she received from Jack, trying to gather more information about the people mentioned. After much effort, she also discovers Jack Stone's true identity. The next day, armed with sufficient evidence, Trisha goes to a lawyer's office, talks to the receptionist, and arranges a face-to-face meeting with the district attorney. However, the receptionist tells her that the attorney is busy and she cannot see him. As an alternative, she suggests that Trisha hand over the evidence to the attorney's assistant, Mark. However, Trisha does not trust him to handle the evidence properly, so she leaves the office. That night, she waits for the attorney to leave the office, hoping to meet him face-to-face and submit the evidence. When District Attorney Johnson finally comes out, Trisha quickly approaches him. She wastes no time in revealing all the evidence against the corrupt officials and police officers. Impressed by her determination and the evidence she has gathered, Johnson praises her, gives her his business card, and tells her to call him if she needs any help.
Let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
In the next scene, Trisha visits Jack in prison and tells him she is actively using the information he provided. Jack tells her she is on the right track and advises her to handle the evidence cautiously. Soon after, an older prisoner named William finds Jack and warns him that dealing with Balam's men is dangerous. However, Jack boldly declares that he is not afraid of anyone. He then asks about Balam's cell location, but William explains that it is a closely guarded secret known only to a few prison guards. Elsewhere, in a women's prison, a fierce fight breaks out between two inmates in the cafeteria. The confrontation is intense, forcing the guards to intervene and separate them. One of the fighting inmates, Elena, is later taken to Balam wearing a black mask. Upon reaching Balam's luxurious prison, Elena finds other inmates there. She was brought in because she fought with one of Balam's favorite female inmates. Unexpectedly, Balam announces that they need to eliminate Jack for a high reward of $100,000. Following Balam's proposal, the inmates band together and launch an attack on Jack while he is talking to William. However, they do not realize that Jack is a well-trained soldier who, with William's help, skillfully counters the attack, defeating all the assailants. Meanwhile, Balam receives a shocking call from Attorney Johnson, revealing that Trisha has incriminating evidence against him. Johnson also mentions that she has detailed information that no lawyer can ignore. Enraged, Balam instructs Johnson to deal with Trisha immediately, while he plans to eliminate Jack by the end of the day. Later, while Jack is doing laundry, a group of prison guards storms in, determined to claim the bounty set by Balam. At first, Jack finds himself outnumbered and is brutally beaten by the guards with batons, fearing that he will get into trouble for assaulting the police. However, when he learns that they are only motivated by a bounty, he musters the courage to fight back. Jack takes down all the corrupt officers one by one. But as he leaves the laundry area, another group of prisoners confronts him, ready to attack. Jack tries to reason with them, explaining that the promised reward is not worth the risk, especially when divided among them all. Surprisingly, his logic resonates with them, and the prisoners reconsider and decide to back down. Meanwhile, Trisha encounters her friend Allison and seeks her help. She confides in Allison, sharing all the intricate details about Balam, the evidence, and the corrupt officials involved in the criminal network. After hearing these details, Allison agrees to help her. Back in the women's prison, Alina tries to reconcile with Kat, Balam's favorite prisoner. However, Kat does not forgive her and instigates a brawl, landing a punch on Alina's face. Alina pretends to faint, lying on the ground, and is taken to the prison doctor for further examination. When the doctor leaves to attend to other matters, Alina skillfully uses a paperclip to unlock her handcuffs, stealthily places some alcohol and medications in William's cleaning bucket, and takes a key to the ventilation shaft from there. She then enters the vent, finds the CCTV room, and draws a map of the path on her stomach before returning to the medical room. The next day, Trisha comes back to the prison to talk to Jack. She claims to have gathered extensive information about Jack's past. She then confronts him about the killing of a colleague, demanding an explanation. Jack decides to trust Trisha and reveals the heartbreaking truth behind the incident. His wife has been brutally murdered by Balam's men, including the officer he had killed. Later, Jack is shocked to discover that William, whom he thought was just another prisoner, is actually an undercover cop. He asks William about the duration of his assignment, and William reveals that he has been working secretly for 6 months to expose the corrupt prisoners and government officials collaborating with Balam. To achieve this, he collaborates with Alina, who is also undercover in the prison, attempting to expose hidden evidence and Balam's network. While Jack listens to William's revelations, they suddenly find themselves attacked by other prisoners. A fierce fight erupts, and amid the chaos, Jack is falsely accused of instigating the brawl. As a result, he is placed in solitary confinement as punishment, leaving him feeling isolated and confused. Elsewhere, William is summoned to meet with Warden Blaine, who has a history of conflict with Balam's subordinates. Realizing William's intentions, he exploits the situation, threatening to expose him unless he provides more money. Meanwhile, Trisha persists in her efforts to meet with District Attorney Johnson, but his busy schedule keeps him away from her. One day, the lawyer's assistant, Mark, approaches Trisha, pressuring her to hand over the evidence she has collected against Balam and his accomplices. However, she remains defiant and walks away from there. Later, in prison, Balam's daughter comes to meet him, leading to his temporary release and transfer to a meeting room. William spots Balam leaving his cell and signals to Alina to initiate their plan. Alina, upon receiving the signal, pretends to faint, diverting the guards' attention and forcing one of them to carry her to the doctor. On the way, she and William overpower the guard, take control of the CCTV room and the prison operations. Soon after, William observes through the surveillance cameras that Balam is about to leave the visiting room. He quickly stands up, opens Jack's solitary cell, and releases him. Jack, determined to take down Balam, incapacitates a guard and disguises himself in the guard's uniform. Guided by William and Alina, Jack emerges from the CCTV room and, following their directions, quietly moves through the prison to reach Balam's private cell before he returns. The stakes are high, but they are determined to expose Balam's criminal empire and bring the corrupt officials to justice. Shortly after, Blaine and several guards discover unauthorized access to the CCTV room. They attempt to enter the room, while Alina finds a clever escape route through the ventilation ducts. William realizes that Balam is closely guarded by the prison officers, and their time is limited before he returns to his cell. So, he makes a bold decision. He decides to unlock all the cell doors to create chaos, allowing the angry inmates to retaliate against the guards who mistreated them. Officer Green tries to escape but is stopped by Jack, who pushes him into a group of vengeful inmates. Meanwhile, William and Alina engage in a fierce battle with the attacking prisoners. Somehow, Jack finds himself in Balam's cell, confronting Semyon. A brutal fight ensues, and Semyon stabs Jack. Despite his injury, our hero grits his teeth and ultimately defeats his adversary, then heads towards Balam's secret chamber. Meanwhile, a shocking event unfolds outside the prison. Allison, who had promised to help Trisha, is actually working for the corrupt lawyer Johnson. She follows Johnson's orders, strikes her friend, and points a gun at her. However, before Allison can harm Trisha, an FBI undercover agent disguised as a prosecutor's assistant, Mark, intervenes and saves her. Mark's mission is to expose the corrupt district prosecutor Johnson and other government officials involved in the conspiracy. Back in the prison, William successfully incapacitates Warden Blaine and the other guards, while Jack enters Balam's cell. He engages in a fierce one-on-one battle with Balam, who initially overpowers him and knocks him down. However, remembering the tragic death of his wife at the hands of Balam's men, Jack finds the strength to rise again. He resolves to defeat Balam and avenge his beloved wife. Following that, the SWAT team arrives in time to regain control of the chaotic situation. After the dust settles, William introduces Jack and Alina to each other, thanking them for their collaboration in dismantling Balam's criminal empire both inside and outside the prison. In return, Jack expresses his gratitude to them for their invaluable help in achieving his long-awaited revenge. Following the investigation, the FBI arrests all the corrupt government officials and police officers who colluded with Balam. In the final scene, Jack is detained by William with a promise of a swift release. The film concludes with justice being served and the eradication of the evil forces that once plagued the prison and society at large.